Okay, guys, we're back this week. Do y'all have any questions about the stuff that we covered last week? We covered a lot of stuff last week. So I don't know if you guys had any questions about that.
Only questions were something I would ask a reporter, like what is the current fee, like is the, on page 190 about the percentage upcharge, or what is the current rate for the appearance fee? Do they still charge an appearance fee if they do the transcription?
Okay. Write those questions down because
Yeah.
that's stuff that I'm not really gonna know. And like
Yeah,
I said,
have it
I'm
down.
getting a reporter, a freelance reporter to come and speak with us. So I want you, and that's kind of why we're going through all of these chapters first before I get the people to come, because I don't want to go through some stuff and it's like, well, I wanted to ask him this or I wanted to ask him that. No, we're not going to do that. So I want to bring, I'm going to bring another official reporter down from the criminal side, and I'm going to bring a freelance reporter down so
Yeah,
you
most of
can
the
ask them all
questions
those
that I came up
questions.
with were kind of things I think I would ask, like what is the current rate,
Yeah.
kind of that sort of thing.
And you kind of get a per diem too. I mean, not a per diem, but you get paid per
Per
hour
hour, yeah.
while you're there too. So
And do they, like, questions like, do they waive the appearance fee if the cost of the transcript is more than the appearance fee? Because it said
Yeah.
that in the book, so I didn't
Yeah.
know if that was customary
Mhm.
still, or.
and like I said, it's been 20 or 21 years since I've done it. So I don't even know. I don't even ask those guys about it anymore. So
One of my questions was, I wrote it down, came from our class on Monday where it had the two different formats where it was the byline, but the question was in front of it.
yeah.
Is if they do that here in town.
Oh yeah. I've never seen it. I've never seen that.
Because
So.
Jacqueline said she had seen it, and I was like, well, was that for her area?
Yeah.
Like, what do we do here? So that
Mhm.
was a question I had written down based
Yeah.
on that.
And I'd say it's probably the other without the question in the front, but that's another thing that you can ask. Okay, guys, chapter 30, ethics of reporting profession. Some of the objectives are going to be define the word ethics, discuss the NCRA Code of Professional Ethics, and discuss the NCRA General Guidelines for Professional Practice. Okay? Ethics are a set of moral guidelines by which one conducts one's personal life and business practices. Ethics may be predefined by a certain religious or cultural standard. Our personal ethics are formed by past events in our own lives and by the influences of those who have been responsible for our upbringing. Some ethicists have said that ethics are a responsibility or duty that an individual may have toward each other, while others say that ethics are a matter of personal choice. Ethics can be expressed or implied, that is, that they can be written or understood. Most professions including court reporting, have developed a code of professional ethics that governs the way that they do business. So, the National Court Reporters Association has developed a list of professional ethics that serve as a guide for members of the organization. In addition, a set of guidelines for professional practices have been established by the NCRA. The preamble to the Code of Professional Ethics and General Guidelines for Professional Practice is presented with permission from the NCRA, and that's the preamble that governs court reporting. And I'll read it to you. It's the mandatory code of professional ethics defines the ethical relationship the public, the bench, and the bar have a right to expect from a member. The code sets out the conduct of a member when dealing with the user of reporting services and acquaints the users as well as the member with guidelines established for the professional behavior. The guidelines for professional practice, on the other hand, are goals which every member should strive to attain and maintain. Members are urged to comply with the guidelines and must adhere to local, state, and federal rules and statutes. It should be noted that these guidelines do not exhaust the moral and ethical considerations with which the members should conform, but provide a framework for the practice of reporting. Not every situation a member may encounter can be foreseen, but a member should always adhere to fundamental ethical principles by complying with the Code of Professional Ethics, the guidelines for professional practice. Members maintain profession at the highest level. So it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just telling you, that you should conduct yourself in a professional manner at all times, so.
Yeah, I've read it for the TCR, because I'm studying for the WKT.
Oh, yeah.
I've read the whole ethics thing.
Yeah. So professional ethics. 1, be fair and impartial toward each participant in all aspects of reported proceedings, and always offer to provide comparable services to all parties in the proceeding. True. I mean, you're supposed to be an unbiased party. You sit there and, you're just part of the legal process, okay? So you're not swayed towards one side or the other. You're just there to do a job and that's it, okay? Whether you believe the guy's guilty, not guilty, whatever, it's not up to you or your opinion. Your job is just to take it down. 2, be alert to situations that are conflicts of interest or that may give the appearance of a conflict of interest. If a conflict or a potential conflict arises, the member shall disclose that conflict or potential conflict. Yeah. So, I'm trying to think of what would.
Have you ever encountered a conflict of interest? I know you said, the judge sometimes, like, he represented one of the parties in the action, something like that.
In the code for the TCRA, it involves like, what if you're married to a lawyer? Can you take
Yeah.
a deposition for your husband or your
Yeah.
spouse?
And I had a friend of mine, and she was a court reporter, and her uncle was an attorney. He's a judge now here in town. But like when he would call her to take depositions, the other side, and they'd have to put it on the record that it was okay for her to take the deposition, even though she was related to the attorney.
Oh, okay.
So stuff like that,
And then
yeah.
notify all parties, and if all parties
Yeah.
are okay with it, then you can.
Then it's okay. And if they're not, then, you just have to call somebody else in. But, that would be one of the situations. 3, guard against not only the fact, but the appearance of impropriety. Yeah. 4, preserve the confidentiality and ensure the security of information, oral or written, entrusted to the member by any of the parties in a proceeding. Yeah. If you ever come sit in my court, it's an open courtroom, but like most of the records are sealed. So you can't just go in there and check out files or order a transcript just because. So, you kind of have to be careful when it comes to things like that. So, 5, be truthful and accurate when making public statements and when advertising the member's qualifications or the services provided. 6, refrain as an official reporter from freelance reporting activities that interfere with official duties and obligations. 7, determine fees independently except when established by statute or court order, entering into no unlawful agreements with other reporters on the fees to any user. Yeah. 7, determine fees independently. We just did that. 8, refrain from giving directly or indirectly any gift, incentive, reward, or anything of value to attorneys, clients, witnesses, insurance companies, or any other persons or entities associated with the litigation, or to the representatives or agents of any of the foregoing, except for 1, items that not exceed $100 in the aggregate per recipient per year. 2, pro bono services as defined by the NCRA guidelines by professional practice or by applicable state and local laws or rules and regulations. Yeah. Some of the court reporting firms will send like tamales at Christmas, or, a lot of the attorneys would send, tamales to the courthouse for some of the judges, or, baskets of fruit or stuff like that, so.
Yeah, my dad's practicing out cookies to all the.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. 9, maintain the integrity of the court reporting profession. And 10, abide by the NCRA, Constitution, and bylaws. Yeah.
So do you not exchange like Christmas presents or like?
My judge and I really don't exchange like Christmas gifts or whatever, but, I mean, I don't think it would really adhere to him. I mean, he's not making any rulings on my part, you know, and I don't think that I would ever go before him, but, I mean, just to kind of keep the impropriety of something like that, you know, but, you know, we go to lunch every now and then, and I'll buy him lunch, or he'll buy me lunch, or whatever, but, I mean, it's not something, you know, crazy.
Yeah, just,
You know? Yeah,
a discussion.
yeah.
What page are we on?
271.
Huh?
271. The court reporter is the official reporter officer creating the verbatim record of a proceeding. Common sense and professional courtesy should guide the member in applying the following guidelines in making the official record. A member should, 1, accept only those assignments when the member's level of competence will result in the preparation of an accurate transcript. The member should remove him or herself from an assignment when the member believes the member's abilities are inadequate, recommending or assigning another reporter only if that reporter has qualifications required for such an assignment. Not quite sure where that would, I mean, I guess like CART, if you're gonna go in and do real-time reporting, you know, if you're in a trial with a daily copy and you know you can't crank those pages out, you know, stuff like that. So you don't wanna be in there. Prepare the record in accordance with the transcript preparation guidelines established by statute or court order, by local custom and custom usage. When sending a substitute reporter, ensure that that substitute is qualified to report the proceedings. Kind of the same thing, you know? You don't want to send a brand new reporter in when they're going to do daily copy, you know, or they're going to do CART, you know. Preserve the shorthand notes in accordance with the statute of court order or otherwise for a period of no less than 5 years through storage of the original paper notes or an electronic copy of either of the shorthand notes or the English transcript. Like for us down there, for civil matters, it's 3 years. So you have to keep your notes for 3 years, and for criminal, it's 12.
Well, okay, that's what I thought I thought it was 12, sorry, but that's what it was. My
Yeah.
question was like 5 years, I thought it was 12.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 12. I know it's not 5. But they're
No,
telling you
it's a-
here, if you have doubt, keep it for 5. But, I mean, if I'd have doubt, I mean, I'd keep it longer than that. But, you know, usually a civil matter, it's only gonna be 3 years. But, I mean, when in doubt, just keep it for 5. Meet promised delivery dates whenever possible. Make timely delivery of the transcripts when no date is specified, and provide immediate notification of delays. Yeah. Strive to become and remain proficient in the member's professional skills. Keep abreast of current literature, technological advances and developments, and participate in continuing education programs. Well, you have to. But, I mean, they're telling you to do it. But, I mean, you know, as a working reporter, you have to get continuing education. So every 2 years, you have to get so many hours. I think it's 10 hours. That equals 1 CEU point or whatever, so.
Going back to that number 4, how many backups do you do?
I just have 2.
Just 2?
Yeah, my machine gives me 2. So I have a regular SD card, and then I have a backup SD card. Yeah. So I keep 1 at the courthouse, and I keep 1 at my house. So just in case, you know, there's a fire or something happens, you know, you always have those notes.
Do you ever check them periodically that they're still there? I've heard of some reporters losing their electronic file. There was an article, and I guess it was a TCRA, but I didn't get, you know, I didn't really have access to read the whole article.
Yeah.
That she had lost her electronic files.
Oh,
I have a I don't know if you use it, but I have a terabyte external hard drive.
Yeah,
I don't know
I have
if we
one.
just keep those. I've even heard that some reporters use a service where it's kind of an electronic cloud.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They can use it as a backup and they pay a fee every year to keep their files for a certain number of years in the cloud in case they're, like, say their terabyte hard drive like
Yeah.
burst.
And
into
I've heard that
flames.
too. I've heard that too. I don't use it, but I've heard it.
And I guess it's an expense you've got to add to your.
Oh, yeah?
You write it off in your taxes as a
Mhm.
business expense.
Yeah. So, I mean, all of that stuff you can write off, you know, so it's good to have. But, you know, a lot of people don't use it, unfortunately, but, yeah, I keep abreast of mine just because, you know, like usually ours, you know, sometimes the parents come back and, you know, we terminated their rights and then they come back 2 years later, 2.5 years later, and they're having another kid. You know, and they're like, well, you know, we need the transcript from the termination hearing from 2012. Yeah, or 2013. You know, it's like, oh, so then you have to go back into those files and make sure, so, yeah. Number 8, assist in improving the reporter's profession by participating in national, state, and local association activities that advance the quality and standards of the reporting profession. Absolutely. And that's why we tell you guys, you know, try to make as many BCCRA meetings as you can. Stay abreast with TCRA, NCRA stuff coming up. 9, cooperate with the bench and bar for the improvement of the administration of justice. And 10, as part of the reporting profession's commitment to the principle that reporter services should be available to all members, and all members are encouraged to provide pro bono services when requested through qualified legal assistance organizations providing free legal services to the indigent. Yeah, if you can. You know, and like, we're called upon by, you know, St. Mary's, you know, to do that.
The mock trials.
Yeah, the mock trials. You know, so, you know, sometimes, a lot of times reporters will go, but I mean, I've always encouraged, you know, the higher speed students to go. You know, it's a great learning experience, you know, puts you in there, so, you know, it's good to go. It really is. Okay, real-time reporting in legal proceedings. A real-time reporter in this setting is a court reporter using real-time skills and equipment to provide verbatim on-screen translation for use in the legal proceeding. A clear explanation and understanding of the real-time reporter's role is necessary among all parties to the proceeding. The real-time reporter in legal or other proceedings will normally be the official reporter or officer sitting and creating the verbatim record and assumes a separate role from that of the cart provider who performs real-time translation as an aid to communication for people who are deaf and impaired. And I think, you know, I think you guys were here when Whitney, you know, testified about that, how, you know, I think she went into a proceeding for a juror, and it was like, hers wasn't the official record. The court reporter in there is the official record. Hers is just assisting somebody to see it real time.
You were saying it was the attorney, he was saying he wanted a copy.
Yeah.
And then she was saying no.
Yeah.
it was just-
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, she's providing a service to a certain person, and the attorney wanted it as like a discovery thing, you know, to be able to use it in the trial, and that wasn't it, to kind of keep it from having to get it from the reporter and having to pay the reporter for getting it. No. You know, and you know, anyone that knows Whitney knows you're not going to pull the wool over her eyes or whatever. So she was like, no, you know. So common sense and professional courtesy should guide the member in applying the following guidelines. 1, establish if possible before beginning a real-time reporting assignment a clear understanding of who will require real-time services. So if the person isn't paying for it, they're not getting it, you know? And that's the way that it should be. 2, accept assignments using direction with regard to skill, setting, and consumers involved and shall accurately represent their qualifications for real-time reporting. 3, when possible, acquire information and materials in advance to prepare a job dictionary. Absolutely. I mean, you should always do that, especially you guys, you know, because you're so much more advanced than like we were coming out of school. You know, you guys have your computer there, it's up and going. You know, when I was in school, they were talking about real time. You know, they were, you know, this is the next thing that's coming, it's coming. You know, we weren't doing it, you know? I mean, it was up and coming stuff. I mean, now it's just everyday practice pretty much. I mean, the you know, reporters pretty much do it, so. And I know now, you know, especially working down at the courthouse, that I don't even think you can get hired if you don't provide real-time services. I don't think you have to be real-time certified, but you have to be able to provide real-time services. So, but a lot of the judges are still new to it. Like, you know, and I think I've told you guys, my judge doesn't require it. He doesn't really like, I mean, I don't know that he doesn't like it, it just, he has a lot going on with reading CASA reports, reading affidavits from the caseworkers, trying to listen to testimony and trying to, you know, keep everything going, that, you know, it's just a little bit much for him, so. Know the software and hardware system used to be able to do simple troubleshooting. Absolutely. You should know all of this stuff, you know. And sometimes things happen that you don't know, I mean, whatever, and that's just kind of the nature of the game, but I mean, you should know simple stuff. 5, strive to further their knowledge and skill through participation in workshops, professional meetings, interaction with professional colleagues, and reading of current literature in the field, and to achieve real-time certification on a state or national level. 6, a disclaimer and/or order form should be transmitted as a cover sheet or cover sheets with each uncertified rough draft transcript, stating that the uncertified rough draft transcript cannot be quoted in any pleadings for any purpose and may not be filed with any court. So if you go to a deposition and, you know, the attorney says, you know what, I need a rough draft of that.
You're supposed to even put it on every single page of it, because I was reading that, you're supposed to put uncertified on every single page, so
Yeah.
they can't just take one out.
Wow. I've never had somebody ask me to do that or whatever, but yeah.
As an alternative to stamping every page, you can just put it as a watermark, like for your printout,
Yeah, you can tell Eclipse to tell it to put it across.
you know, write it across the, as a watermark.
That's what you learn. I was reading the ethics book, it's on every comment, you're supposed
Yeah.
to indicate on every single page.
I'm sure back then it was stamped.
Yes, now you can just tell Eclipse to be like, put this on there.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it'll put it as a wall.
Okay, communication access real-time translation card providing in legal